Potawatomi,
arts,
culture,
and entertainment.
This is a Pace production.
So anyway, welcome.
Wow.
So please put your hands together for Jeff Koterba.
Wow. Thank you, Adam. That's quite the introduction. A lot of pressure there. I appreciate it. This is the piece in question, The Path of Lightning, that Adam and I actually worked on together a few months ago, and I will certainly talk about the process that went into the making of this. However, I'm going to just read a brief little excerpt from my memoir, Inklings. You're like, oh wait, I didn't realize we were getting roped into a literary thing. Well. But I wrote about this, the lightning experience, and I thought, well, rather than me just trying to recreate it or re-explain it, I'll just read this. Quick little background: I was 17 when this occurred. Still living at home. I was living. There was that. I was living at home, my parents' home in South Omaha. I could maybe almost see it from here, maybe, but. I was out in the front yard watching a storm approaching. My dad was a part-time TV repairman, so we had this tiny house full of old broken TVs. I had 4 younger siblings, and I was pretty much looking for any excuse to go outside and see what was going on. And there was a storm approaching, so I thought I'd go out and check it out. And my dad came to the front porch, and he was encouraging me to come inside the house, and he says, "Better get in here, kid. Storm's coming fast." I will, I say, I will. And if you can imagine this, I had like shoulder-length hair. And that has nothing to do with the story, but it just, I want to just tell you about that. And I had just showered, so I'm damp, and I'm barefoot, and I'm out in the front yard. All the things you should not do if there was a lightning storm coming. My dad stands there attempting to wait for me, but soon gives up. All right, suit yourself. The door smacks shut. On our silent street, a few porch lights fend off the darkening skies. Our tree branches are unmoving. The clouds low and promising because I was hoping for a storm. But nothing. Nothing at all is happening. I am perfectly still. The shotgun explosion in my head, the jolt my body takes, the screaming light, all happens in an instant. Lightning and thunder are no longer separate entities, nor is my body separate from the weather. The lightning and thunder, my eyes and muscles are unified as the electricity burns through me, killing me. Wild colors that don't exist in the universe stream out like fireworks before my eyes. I am inside the lightning. It is inside of me, the electricity rewiring my brain circuitry in some way that doesn't make sense, yet does make sense. There is no time, but I have all the time in the world to die. I will die here in my parents' front yard. I've been here forever. In this yard, the electricity running through me like this, making me die. My eyes tell me that I'm on the ground, on my knees, paralyzed. I've been here forever, waiting for the lightning to do its job, to completely circulate through my veins. I am not afraid. But I have a wish, a simple wish, to die inside of my parents' house. This wish is all I can think of, all I can hope for. I desire nothing else but to crawl inside, to lie on the floor, curled up anywhere there is space for this body that is no longer me, to die in peace. I can't move. It's like dreaming someone is chasing me, but I can't operate these long, fleshy things, these arms and legs. All I know is to get inside, to die inside, to die inside. I just don't want to die out on the yard with the rain soaking my body. And slowly, I get up, sort of like evolution, the image of evolution from the fish to the Neanderthal to the human, and that's kind of how it felt. And I finally made it to the front door, and I saw the door handle, and I knew that it meant something. It was like a symbol. It was significant, but I didn't know what this door handle did exactly. And I was trying to reach for it, trying to make sense of it. And at that point, my dad and mom came to the front door. They'd heard the thunder, of course, saw the flash of lightning, and they pulled me inside. And my dad, I could hear him saying that I've turned gray, and so he's like trying to bring me to. He's slapping my face, and I hear my mom screaming, we need to get him to the hospital. We need to take him to the hospital now. And my dad does what he always sort of did, which was to give me some of his medicine. He sat me down on the couch, and in front of my 4 younger siblings, started pouring Jack Daniels down my throat. True story. So not only was I just hit by lightning, but I've now had my first experience with whiskey, as far as anybody knows. So when the opportunity came up for me to have a studio here this spring, I was delighted and jumped at the chance to come here to this wonderful building here at Pace. And one of the first things that Adam had said to me was that there was going to be an exhibit at the end of May that was going to open at the end of May. And as someone who has spent most of his career as a cartoonist, stubbornly I had been telling myself, if I ever start doing art again, I'm going to get back to oil painting, which I haven't done since college. So I had this idea in my head that I'm going to do painting, oil painting. And then, but Adam said there's a show coming up in May, and I said, well, I won't have time to even begin remembering how to paint in oils. It had been a few years, as I said, since college. And I said, so, I don't think I could do it. I said, just out of curiosity, what's the theme? And he said, storms. That had already been determined way before I arrived that was the theme. And I thought, oh man, this is the universe really kicking me in the backside to get me going. So I said, okay, I'm going to dive in and I'll make a couple of paintings. And there were 3 oil paintings here that I did for that exhibit. And then I think it was just not long after that, for whatever reason, Adam asked me, he said, have you ever had a cast of your head made? That's an odd question you ask someone. And I said, no. He said, maybe you'd want to do that, and maybe you could do something with that, and do something, with the sculpture, based on your lightning experience. And I'm a chicken. I'm really afraid of like most things. But if I put on my journalist hat or my artist hat or my explorer cap, whatever, I can kind of move through the fear and do things I wouldn't just do. Like as just a regular person, I would never have a cast of my head made. But, it's for art. Okay, well, I probably won't die. But if I do, it's for a good cause. So Adam convinced me to make this head cast, and when we began the process, I had no idea what we would come up with. So we were here at the backstage of the Chanticleer Theater, where he gooped all of this Goopy Goop stuff all over me. And I haven't had an apron-y thing around me since I had long hair and would get haircuts, but so that was kind of cool. So he just started encasing me in this goo, and we continued on for a while. And I practice mindfulness meditation, and I knew that the process would be around 90 minutes. I've once meditated for 2 hours straight sitting, so I thought, okay, if I can do that, I can get through this. I wasn't yet freaking out about the fact that I wouldn't be able to see anything, and I'd have little microscopic breathing holes. So now we're getting serious here. We're really gooping it on. And then at this point I started really getting a little bit nervous, a little bit stressed out. I'm just reminding myself with mindfulness that everything changes. The hand that we have, the molecules and atoms eventually will change, and we will eventually have a different physical hand. Everything changes. Our greatest joys and our despairs, everything eventually changes. So this is nothing, I kept telling myself. But I was getting a little freaked out. And you'll see here that I have some paper here. I'll tell you about that in a moment. So I didn't think about this until later, but when I saw this, when I saw these images later, it brought to mind one of my favorite episodes of The Twilight Zone. And you'll see what I mean here in a second, especially this one. As I get closer, does anybody remember the episode of The Twilight Zone that I'm referencing here? So there's that moment in The Twilight Zone where the patient is freaking out, and then so that later upon, I had no idea what I looked like. So I mentioned that I had this paper here and a pen. So the idea behind that was if I started freaking out, having a panic attack or something, Adam could quickly rip this gooey thing off my head. But I was very, very, very muffled. So I had the pen and paper as a backup for emergency to, we didn't even discuss it in advance, but I guess I guess I'd write help or something. Like, I don't know. So Ken Hertz, who was there, who was shooting some video, he actually brought the pen and paper, and he said, I could hear him. It was like, it also felt like, it sounded like I was underwater. I felt like submerged in under a lake or something. I imagined that I was a sea creature, and everything was just, but I thought I heard him say, draw a train. Draw a train? So I have never drawn without being able to see, without being able to hear. And one of the experiences also during this process that harkened back to getting hit by lightning was that my sensory perceptions, everything was discombobulated. All the wiring in my brain was all confused. And I couldn't feel anything when I'm on the ground and unable to move. I couldn't hear anything after that shotgun blast from the thunder, and the bright light, and my eyes were closed and I was dying. I couldn't see anything, and that's when I really started panicking. When I realized this is weirdly similar. I didn't have electricity surging through my body, but the sensory thing about it was that it felt like it did, and I hadn't felt anything like that, since that night. So I hear, draw a train. So I drew this train, which I had no idea what I was drawing. And the drawing process was completely different, not being able to see. So I tried to orientate myself with the edges of the paper, trying to get a sense of it, and experiencing the paper in a very mindful way again, and in a very meditative way, and just like trying to spatially figure things out. And I also remembered that there was a painter who became blind, and she was an executive in the corporate world. And when blindness struck, she was depressed, and her husband bought her a set of paints, I think oil paints, maybe acrylic. And she was like, what are you doing? Why on earth would you buy me paints? And then I'll tear up just thinking about this, but he took her on a tour around the world to all these different museums and would describe these paintings for her. And so she came up with a mathematical formula to paint. And I'll try to remember her name or let you all know. You can ask me, but she's easy to Google, and her paintings are beautiful. It's incredible. So anyhow, I just mathematically started thinking, okay, I think I have this much space here, this much space. So then I started doing some other drawings, just kind of abstract-y things about how I felt, me kind of reaching up at the moment that this cloud is on top of me and this lightning bolt is surging through me. And there's one more. And I felt, I felt then when I was on the ground dying, and I felt when I was covered with this goo that just, all of my physical attributes of my face, my eyes were gone, my nose was gone, my senses were gone, everything was gone, and that's how I felt. The other thing that happened in the moment that I was hit by lightning, which probably really only took a few seconds, but it did truly seem like days or weeks or months. It seemed like a lifetime. I saw a giant head. The head, I thought later maybe it was the head of God, but it seemed like it could be an alien, like a space alien of some sort. And it was actually very similar, once again, to a Twilight Zone episode. To a couple of Twilight Zone episodes, actually. And I don't know, I don't know what that image was. If it was, I don't even know all the ultraviolet colors, the strange colors I saw, if that was reality or just my own brain, the circuitry going crazy. One of the things about this piece is that we made 4 head casts, and in part because after this incident, which was right before my senior year of high school, in August of my senior year of high school, just a couple of years ago, when I still had, have I mentioned my shoulder-length hair? Okay, so, but I felt like I was sort of at a crossroads, and I had multiple pathways ahead of me. One of those pathways was to leave my senior year of high school and finish at a monastery and become a Catholic priest. And the other pathway was to become a cartoonist. There were some other things going on. And not to read too much, not to be too literal with this piece, but in a way the heads represent different pathways, different, directions I might have taken. And yet, the head that's here, that's maybe the most colorful, maybe was the head that sort of grounded me in a way. So anyhow, we make these head casts. Oh, one more thing. Sorry, back to the alien thing quickly. I also drew this alien, and you can see little droplets of the goo that dried on the paper, and there's a little spaceship there. And it's funny, when I was drawing it, I really thought later I would look at this drawing and the eyes would be like, one eye would be over here and one eye would be over here, but I was, pleasantly surprised that it turned out so well. So I had my heads on a platter at one point, which is a very bizarre, surreal experience to see one's head, to hold one's head and it has weight to it. But it was a very, very, very strange, surreal experience. I think it's important to have some self-love. So I was doing that. So I actually had to mask up when I was spray painting. My heads did not, but I don't think they were in any danger of catching anything, so they were not masked for this. I will say that it was a very strange, the whole thing was strange. It was weird because, like, when I was getting into the crevices of painting, like, inside my ear, I was like, oh, is that what my ear looks like? I mean, when are you ever going to see your ear from that angle, or the back of your head? And I had conversations with my heads, and they all have distinct personalities, actually. They're slightly different. No two Jeff Koterba head is alike. And then I decided to take one into my studio downstairs, and if you haven't been by, you're more than welcome to visit. And I just got a little wild. I went a little Jackson Pollock on my dome. And I thought, maybe it's a good thing I don't have hair, because how would have this worked? Couldn't have done it. Can you imagine if Bob Ross had done this? And that is the head you see here. So then the installation, Adam had this plexiglass piece made, and we installed it here. And during the process of setting up the going up and down, I counted my steps. I had my phone on me, and I did so many lunges that day going up and down. But I was on a metal ladder, and I seriously had this fear that, okay, I survived the plaster head thing. This is how it's going to happen. You know, artist dies in lightning installation, blah, 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 many years after hit by lightning. Survives lightning, dies by lightning sculpture. And I kept thinking, okay, I've got a metal ladder here, and I was really paranoid that like the pipes or something would be touching an electrical thing, and they'd find my dead body here by my heads. And it was a real, I'm still like freaked out by electricity. So, a little bit more of the, I kept going to Joanne Fabrics, I think, here in Council Bluffs. I made multiple trips to get the, what do you call the stuff inside the pillow? The whatever the stuff is. The stuffing, the pillow stuffing. It's called something else. But batting, that's it. And I've never used it before. So I went to get a few bags of it, and I kept going back, and I told them what was going on, and they were laughing quite. They were in stitches by the time I mean, not like in stitches, like they had a medical procedure, but they were laughing every time I came back for more clouds. I said, I need more clouds. So it's kind of a long shot there, and the finished piece, and then. And there's Adam and myself pondering. Are we pondering each other, Adam, or pondering the heads? I'm not sure, but there you have it. I really appreciate it. I'll take some questions. Thank you very much.
Okay. Before the lightning hit, did you have Tourette's then, or did this affect your Tourette's in any way?
So I didn't mention that I do have Tourette syndrome, and it's funny. My dad, who Tourette's is a genetic thing, and my dad had it, and there are a few other people in our family who have it, and but when I finally in my late 20s was diagnosed with it, I told my dad that, I said, you have Tourette's too. And he said, I grew up during the Great Depression. We couldn't afford a syndrome. So, so he was convinced that these nervous tics we had were the result of the lightning. But no connection that I know of. There may be some other after effects on my personality and the way I am from that.
But I was asking about the Tourette's.
Okay. Yes, Sherry.
I'm just curious about your outlook on life. Did it change after cancer?
Yeah, it did. So the question is my outlook on life and if that changed. By the way, I just reached into a cloud for some water, which is kind of a cool thing. I never thought I'd be able to do. I mean, it was sort of like, as I said, as I was heading into my senior year of high school, I was seriously pondering the priesthood, not because I'd had this near-death experience, or maybe, I don't know. Like it seemed like that had been in the back of my mind, and certainly I wanted to do something with cartooning, something in media. I wasn't sure what. And it did seem like that was sort of a reset button or a starting point, forward. And although I get a little squeamish when there's a storm, and locally here we had a big storm a couple nights ago, and it was kind of freaked me out. But there's also sort of this sense of, if not a rebirth, but I survived a lightning strike. I can go backpacking in the Rocky Mountains with my son for the first time last year, where there was a bear. I can do that and survive. So there is sort of this weird, like I'm a kind of a scaredy cat, but I've also thrown myself into situations where it's like, I kind of don't think I just jump in and then later think, what was I thinking? And I kind of did that with cartooning and other things after that, I think. And whether it's directly connected or not, I don't know. But one could say, the same could be said for someone who's asked to suddenly fill in on KVNO and what do you mean you've never done? I've never done radio. What are you talking about? You'll be fine. Okay. Just don't leave any electrical, wires exposed. Yes.
So when a storm comes, do you stay inside the house to watch the lightning, or
I say when there's a yes.
take a shower, go out in the front yard?
I take a shower. I do. I hold a golf club. I don't play golf, but I own one. There are actually some incidents throughout the world where people who have been hit once tend to get hit. It's like their chances are increase for whatever weird reason. I think the Guinness Book of Records holder was hit 7 times, or something. I mean, not like in one moment, but no, I stay indoors. The thing that really gets me is that if I'm with someone else and I say, well, I can't go get this thing out of my car because there's a storm, and that other person will say, well, I'll go get it. It's like, no, you're missing the point. You could get hit by lightning, but I try to stay indoors. I had the great fear after the lightning experience that the lightning was immediately following for about 2 weeks, that it was going to, and it was like in August, like one of those wicked storm Augusts, like every night it's just, and I was convinced that the lightning was going to find me. I was afraid to take a shower. I was afraid to sleep. I really firmly believed that no matter where I was, the lightning would come find me, and come back and finish the job. So, any more questions? Otherwise, we can wrap this up. But we're going to hang out and we can talk. We can go check out the studio or the bar or both. So, thank you very much for being here. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Maybe we should retitle this talk, I Survived.
I survived.